I think Cardano is still very, very bullish. And in this video, I want to show you how it can possibly get to $3.16, break out its all time high somewhere between February, March, and April. And we are running into this season where Cardano is repeating in 2025 what it did in 2021. And that actually makes me very, very bullish. I know in this period of time in crypto, people might be getting a little impatient. People are wondering, well, President Trump is in office, all this crypto stuff's happening, strategic reserve, all the announcements, all the executive orders. When is this stuff going to happen for crypto? And it's not always as fast as people want it to happen. I know I feel the impatience myself. I feel the tension myself and the anticipation, and it's actually pretty exciting. But in this video, I want to show you everything I'm looking at on the ADA chart that is keeping me bullish and keeping me in line with this ADA target that we have of somewhere between a realistic $5 to $6 ADA this year, or maybe even something like an $8+ ADA. How can we get to those, and why is $3? Why might ADA actually be knocking on the $3 door here pretty soon here in 2025? Okay, so the big thing with this chart I want you to notice is that ADA is doing everything right. From a purely like price action standpoint, what we've seen last cycle, what we see this cycle, things are happening exactly as they happened last cycle. We also have ADA doing very well against every indicator out there. You can see the bull market support band. It is durably, reliably holding above that bull market support band, kind of what happened back here last cycle. And we are, in my opinion, heading towards this just amazing run up that Cardano has had. I mean, November has already been a great month, but we've kind of had this December and January of sideways action. What is going to happen after this sideways action? This is what I'm looking at. The first thing I'm looking at is we have this type of pattern right here. This move to this move. And then we also have, I'll actually move into the daily for this thing. We have back here in 2021, we have this move right here. Okay, this is what's going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about in this video. What happened last cycle, and kind of how does it affect us now? What is Cardano doing now? That's the big question. Here in 2025, or in this cycle, we can look at this idea and say, well, that actually really applies to us now on a very macro basis of what's going on. The first thing that I see over here is I see this, and then I also see this move. And I've actually been looking at this for a couple months, really in 2024, and I've been continuing to understand the pattern of Cardano and what it has going for it and how this might be affecting us cycle over cycle and what we can come to expect. The timing is not perfect between last cycle and this cycle. It's a little bit hard to line up kind of in that November, December, January, like where these things are happening. I think last cycle was a little bit more bullish, quicker, and this cycle we might be pushing things out a little bit further, or things just might not lay over cycle perfectly. That's perfectly fine. But the overall theme of this cycle to last cycle seems very, very similar, and that's what we're showing you here. If we put this here and we do this pennant here, you can see the up-down pennant structure last cycle to this cycle is actually very, very similar and very, very intriguing. When we do that, let's move back to the weekly chart. We can see that this is what happened last cycle. Cardano had this bear market, set a low, went up, came down, set an ultimate low, and then moved upwards, moved into this bullish pennant before heading into its next phase where it ran up and took out its previous all-time high. This is 2018, this is 2021, and now here we are today in 2025. Besides all the little wicks that go up and down and out of range and kind of mess the theory up, the pattern that we have today is actually still holding pretty true from last cycle to this cycle. You can see here, Cardano durably went down and found a bottom, and then it went up again, and then it has come down again and found another bottom. This was a COVID lower low. If COVID didn't happen, it wouldn't have been a lower low. You can see this right here would have actually been a higher low. This cycle, we didn't have COVID, so maybe now we have a higher low compared to the lowest low. And now today, here at this kind of edge of the bull market, right? Last cycle, it was in November, December. Now it seems to be here in January, February. We are at the edge of this alt-season bull market. Cardano is forming another bullish pennant. Now, if you're not familiar with bullish pennants, they're different from bullish flags. And bullish pennants are not always breaking to the upside. They're not always like, yeah, everything's going to go up. But within a context of this crypto bull market that we have, the Bitcoin cycle, the federal government lowering rates, and possibly us getting quantitative easing this, either Q1 or Q2 of this year, we have good reason to understand why Cardano could continue to go up from this bullish pennant. Now, if the tides were reversed and maybe the markets were moving down in a bearish pennant formation, maybe it would keep going down. But there's always scenarios where these do not necessarily mean they go up. But in this scenario, correlated to last cycle scenario and the current situation that we're in the market cycle, I believe that this is a bullish pennant that will break out upwards. Now, it's also really interesting about this whole setup of what we had last cycle to this cycle and how this bullish pennant was really the door to open that next major move for Cardano. The next thing that I think is really interesting is that this bullish pennant is really just sitting on top of this previous higher high that Cardano had. And you can see how this cycle, Cardano has this higher high that it has, and the bullish pennant is really just sitting here right in line with that area. So we have very, very similar structures of the 2018 bear market to the 2021 high to now where we are here in the 2024, 2025 bear bull market shift, and how we are simply resting at the same spot last cycle as we did this cycle. You can see we have this higher high and this massive layer of support where the bull market support band really rode in here against Cardano price into a bullish pennant. What is happening today in 2025? Well, we have this higher high that happened in 2024. We have this massive layer of support, whether you put it here, whether you put it here, wherever you put it, right? We have this massive layer of support running into the bull market support band, running into a bullish pennant that Cardano is forming. And this all is just seeming to me to line up very, very majestically. Furthermore, I'd put all of that in the context of we have this higher high that Cardano, after breaking out of this bullish pennant, took about 2 or 3 months to go upwards and break the previous all-time high of Cardano. After that all-time high was broken, Cardano durably sat on that new support level before heading up higher to make its new all-time high. If the same thing were to lay out, as much of the same things are happening here today, we could kind of expect Cardano to run out here. After breaking out of this bullish pennant, Cardano could run out here for 2 to 3 months and then take out this $3.09, or where it's $3.16 if you get the exact high. Cardano can run out here and take out this high before durably sitting up here as a new level of support in the 2025 bull run. And so we can see here that once Cardano broke out of the bullish pennant, it rode the bull market support band for about 14 weeks. And if the same thing were to happen today, and it rode out of the bull market, rode out of this bullish pennant, and went about 14 weeks, we would end up around late April or early May, depending on where it broke out or what time it broke out of the bullish pennant. If it broke out, let's say on like February, like the first week of February would put the 14-week mark at very early May, the first week or two of May. So to me, this whole bullish sentiment on Cardano, or the current sentiment around Cardano of like, why is it just kind of hanging between 90 cents and $1, doesn't really make a lot of sense. For me as an investor, kind of in the context of the broader bull market and the context of what the US government's doing and a lot of governments are doing, this to me feels like a great sign. This feels like a great spot to be in for a healthy accumulation zone, a healthy little retracement before the next leg up. And I typically would like to see something like this in order to have more confidence. I know it feels great when things only go up, but if things only go up, then they tend to only go down. So to me, this seems like a great first structure to kind of have set up. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually come in here to the daily chart in order to look at this bullish pennant structure. And what I see, in my opinion, is a couple great things. So when we come back to this bullish pennant thing, the key thing you want to see is higher lows being set. And in my opinion, we have that here with Cardano. Cardano has this high, it's riding on, right? It's getting pushed downwards. But what we see in price here is a lot of higher lows. A lot of higher lows is a good thing for me. Riding the bullish pennant is a good thing. And we can actually see how last cycle it did the same thing. It comes in here and it just simply had a couple of higher or lower highs that it was setting, all the while setting higher lows. And that led for it to maintain the bull market support band and then continue its trajectory upwards. So today, I think that this is a great thing that we can be looking at. The thing that I would be watching if you want to see if Cardano is breaking is, does it break this bullish pennant downwards, right? If that were to happen, we have a couple things that we could consider. Like if it went up here and then broke downwards, the first thing I would look for is support. I would look for support around the 80-cent level. The 80-cent level is a big level because it's where the previous higher high was. It's also probably where the bull market support band is going to run into at about that time. So if this bullish pennant decides to break downwards, and maybe we have some crazy thing in the market that could happen, like let's say Bitcoin goes down or something happens in the market with the strategic reserve or something that the government's doing, we could see an ADA come down here to around 80 cents. 80 cents, 75 cents, something like that. That would not alarm me. And if that happens, I think it would be okay. Now, obviously, I don't want it to happen. I want this bullish pennant to maintain and keep Cardano moving upwards. But I'm just saying, if it were to happen, it would not be the end of the world. With this bullish pennant, I think, let's see, last cycle, we kind of came in here and we touched this bullish pennant once, twice, three, and then on the fourth time, we actually broke out of the pennant. And we touched the bottom line about 2 times. So today, what is our bullish pennant looking like here? Today, we've come in here and we've touched this bullish pennant. We're actually touching the bottom more frequently. We touched it once, twice, and maybe we might touch it again here soon. But on the highs, we've touched it 1 time right here and a second time right here. So when we're looking at this bullish pennant, in my opinion, I would imagine we are going to see a lot of movement up in this section, and we could tap this 1 time, come down, get close to the bottom, and tap it again before breaking upwards. That's the pattern I would kind of look at based on the historical structure. But all in all, I think the total trajectory of what Cardano is doing in the crypto space is actually very bullish, and it is doing exactly what it did last cycle and doing exactly what it should be doing. The thing that I would look for on the negative, if the bullish pennant does not break upwards here, maybe this takes... what is it? Maybe a couple weeks or 2, maybe the beginning of February to get out of this range. If it decided to break downwards, I would look at 80 cents and I would look at 75 cents for good areas to buy ADA in order to kind of set that new low before heading, or kind of to set like this area low and close out this retracement before heading back upwards. In my opinion, we have no reason to think that Cardano is going to go down. If it were to go down and break below this and kind of break below all of these supports, that would be a total unexpected thing, and it would be caused by something else. So my kind of trajectory of this Cardano token is that we're just in the accumulation phase right now, and that from this cycle, or like from right now, we're actually in a very, very good spot for Cardano to continue and attempt to break all-time high kind of in Q2 of 2025. Now, I also want to show this just to kind of line it up with what a lot of people are I know a lot of people are kind of fearful still on Cardano and not understanding kind of like what's happening, why does it happen? But this parallel channel also really helps me with Cardano. I think this really helps me because it shows that Cardano is still durably going upwards over a very long period of time. It has never kind of broken this structure. Bitcoin's running through a similar parallel channel from like the 2017, 2021, and 2025 cycle. And I think that this is a very interesting thing to look at on Cardano as well. Finally, the last big thing about Cardano I want to talk about is that all of the other metrics for ADA are actually doing very well and are very, very similar to last cycle. We talked about that ADA pattern that it's doing just on the USD chart, but it's having that same pattern on the ADA dominance chart. The dominance, this cycle is doing the same thing kind of as it did last cycle. Maybe we can expect a small retrace, but then it's time for ADA to start eating up dominance. Against Bitcoin, ADA is doing the same thing. It is taking it's coming out from the bottom, and in my opinion, I believe that this is the low ADA is going to have against Bitcoin, and we are done with the ADA Bitcoin drops. And now maybe it has this similar retracement as it did back in 2021. Right? Maybe right here it has a small retracement. But other than that, it's ADA's time to rise against Bitcoin. And if it didn't, it would break a lot of the cycle history and a lot of the expectations that we as Cardano holders have, or the Cardano chart has. Another interesting thing to look at, and I would like to look at this a little bit more, is the Solana ADA chart. It's very interesting with the Trump token bringing a lot of price action to Solana. Solana actually did see a bounce from kind of this support level that we had back up into the bull market support band. And it looks like now that might be a place where Solana can get rejected against ADA, and Solana can continue to drop against ADA down to this area or maybe even lower. I'm not 100% sure where, but this could be a good price target for Solana to drop against ADA, meaning that ADA would start to run faster and higher percentage wise in returns than Solana is. We can see this against some other tokens as well. ADA Ethereum is another good one to look at, and it's kind of doing the same thing. You can see since 2021, ADA has been falling against Ethereum, but just recently in the back half of 2024, ADA has actually shifted the trend, made a new higher high against this higher high, and is now starting to eat up gains against Ethereum, which is very, very bullish in my opinion, meaning that ADA is going to start running faster than Bitcoin, faster than Ethereum, faster than Solana, and it's Cardano's time. The last thing I want to show you is the ADA XRP chart. This is where you can actually see ADA falling against something. ADA has been falling against XRP since 2021, and my assumption is that it's because XRP was a little bit suppressed in price in 2021. But you can see ADA is falling against XRP right now pretty heavily because XRP continues to run. Now, not all of these charts you have to take as like, well, I should be in XRP then. That's not what I'm saying. I believe ADA is a better asset for retail investors than XRP because XRP has a lot more centralization. On the spectrum of decentralization, it is more centralized than Cardano, and it doesn't have as much DeFi and much thriving ecosystem that I think retail investors need. So this is a good chart if you're purely focused on price, but I think the underlying asset matters as well. And I think, XRP ADA is going to, or ADA XRP is going to drop down here probably to around this 0.27 level. Maybe that's where it bottoms. Maybe it bottoms here around 0.22, but it's getting closer to a bottom than it has in a very long time. All in all, what I'm trying to say here in this video is $8 to $3 is not so far away. I know this is a weird time in crypto. It feels weird. It feels like things aren't happening. But underneath, these are the times that we need in order to have the times where we make a lot of money, especially if you're in Cardano native tokens. You might be seeing your alts bleed against ADA. Well, it's just par for the course. And this is what happens. The timing and the pattern and the market cycle is doing kind of exactly what it should be doing what we expect. And I see no reason to expect ADA to not continue up here to around $3. And if something changes, like it breaks below the pennant, breaks below the support, breaks below the bull market support bands, we'll talk about it then. But as of now, I expect ADA to keep going up based on all this stuff. If you are still watching the video, in the description is the Crypto 100x Blueprint. Talks a lot about how I analyze projects based on fundamentals, tokenomics, and charts just like this. If that interests you, go ahead and download it. It's absolutely free. If you enjoyed the analysis, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And drop a comment down below. Do you think ADA is going to $3, $5, $7, $11? Let us know. We need to know some price predictions so we can keep planning things out as it happens. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely going to see you in the next one.